So we are going to start the next unit, which is all about decimals. So just to remind everybody, a decimal number system is a number system based on the number 10, using 10 digits. Our digits are 0 through 9. There's different place values. This should be a quick review from last year. 0. Would be the word and. Everything to the right starts with tenths and then hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, and so forth. To the left of the decimal is where we have our whole numbers, so ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so forth. When you have a decimal, if you want to put it into a fraction, basically the way to do that is you take whatever place value you're in and make that your denominator. So for example, if I had like this number, 0.57, and my 7 is in the second spot to the right, which is the hundredths. If I wanted to write this as a fraction, it would be 57 hundredths. So whatever the place value of the last digit is in, that's your denominator when you go to make it as a fraction. So keeping that in mind, people have wondered why we have a ones place value, but why we don't have a oneths place value with like the THS at the end. The reason why we don't do that is because if we had a oneths place value, and you're making it into a fraction, the denominator would be a 1, and then you'd have a whole number. So example, say we had 0.6, and this was the oneths place value instead of the tenths. You would write it as a fraction as 6 over 1, which then makes it a whole number. So we don't have a oneths place value. The first one's 10, so this would be 6 tenths. Okay? So what we're going to do is use the chart above and see if we could just identify the underlined place value. So for this first one, the 7 is the first number to the right of the decimal, which is the tenths. So you guys can fill this in with me. 4 in this one is the fourth spot to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the 10,000ths. So make sure you guys are writing this too. All right, this the third one, the 2 is the third number to the right of the decimal, so thousandths. And the last one is the first number to the right, which is tenths. So again, these are all place values, but if you were making these into fractions, the last digit in the place value is just the denominator you would use. So if it's thousands was the last number, you would put 1,000 under if you're writing it as a fraction. So again, we don't have a once place value because if we did, that means you'd have to put a 1 as the denominator, and then it wouldn't be a fraction, it would be a whole number. So we're going to do adding and subtracting decimals for today. So when you're adding or subtracting decimals, it is very important that you line up your place values. So for this one, I have 8.13. The decimal point and the place values have to be right below each other. So if this 8 is in the ones, the 2 that's in the ones has to be right below it. Okay, line it up, add like normal, bring the decimal point straight down. So 9, 8, decimal point, 10. Okay, if you were carrying, it would just carry right over, still just add like normal and bring the decimal point down. Okay, so I'm going to try this one, 1.459. This time I have a 23, so the 3 is in the ones place, it has to be lined up. And this looks really strange when you line it up, but you have to line up your place values. So what you can do is add zeros to the missing spots so that it looks kind of more normal. So I'm going to add zeros here and a 0 here. Now it looks more like lined up. So your decimal points have to be on top of each other and your place values have to be lined up. So I get 9, 5, 11, carry the 1, 3, 4, 5, 2, decimal points straight down. Okay, so that's how you would add. So I'm going to have you pause and try these two. So just make sure your decimal points are right on top of each other and all of your place values are lined up. So pause and try these two. Now we're going to do subtracting. Same exact thing, only with subtracting, the order definitely matters. So you need to put the first number on top. So 5.508, 3.174. I lined up my decimal points. I lined up my place values. 8 minus 4 is 4. I can't do 0 minus 7, so I'm going to borrow. 10 minus 7 is 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. Decimal point comes straight down. Okay, I'm going to try one more. You guys can just watch. 21.9, I have to line up my decimal point, so 1.605. This is another one that looks kind of weird, so you could add zeros. Here's the very important part with subtraction. You can't just bring down the 5. There's a 0 above it, so you do have to borrow. I'm going to start borrowing from the 9. So I can get an 8, make this a 10, cross it out, I get a 9, 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 0 is 9, 8 minus 6 is 2, 1 minus 1 is 0, 2 minus 0 is 2. Decimal point comes straight down. So again, you have to line up your decimal points. For subtraction, if you add zeros, they count as numbers, so you definitely have to borrow because you can't just take down the 5. So you're going to pause and try these two. The first number has to go on top. Line up your decimals, line up your place values, add zeros if you need to. Okay, here's a real world example for this. It says your meal at the school cafeteria costs $3.45. Your friend's meal costs $3.90. You pay for both meals with a $10 bill. How much change do you receive? So first we have to figure out what the total bill is that you paid. So $3.45 plus $3.90. Line up your decimal points. Add 5, 13, 10. Decimal point comes straight down. Oh, I don't know why I multiplied. 7, sorry. 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. I'm multiplying. So I have $7.35. Now I have a $10 bill. You want to write it out like you would see it, $10 with a 10.00. Subtract $7.35. I have to subtract. I can't just bring down the 5 and the 3, so I have to borrow. I'm going to start from way over here. 10, borrow, 10, borrow, 10. Okay. 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 3 is 6, 9 minus 7 is 2. Decimal point comes straight down, so that would be your change. So first I added the 2 to figure out what the total would be, subtracted it from 10. So you're going to pause and try this one exactly the same. Figure out what your total bill is, you paid with a 20, see how much change you get back. This is your last one. They want you to find the perimeter of the trapezoid. That just means add all of the sides, so make sure you line everything up. Make sure your decimal points are on top of each other. Add like normal. Bring the decimal point straight down. So try that last one as well.